Hey, what's going on? Hope you're having a shit one. I want to say a year ago, but it wasn't a year ago. Actually, oh, it was a year ago. May. Last year, we were in Sweden. When we went to Sweden, we were only there for a week. We found out about a thing called a Voi. And a Voi is basically Sweden's or Stockholm's mode of transport. They're little electric scooters that you can just rock up, tap your card, or you log in with an app or something, you have a username, and then you just have your credit card set up. And then, yeah, that's it. Then you can just unlock them and then ride them around wherever you want. These ones in Sweden could go up to like 25, 30 k's an hour, which is like 18 miles an hour, if I remember correctly. When we got back from Sweden, all Liam and I were thinking about were how good the Vois were and how much we wanted them and how much we missed them. So for literally the past year, we've been like, oh bro, remember Vois? Imagine if Melbourne had Vois. Imagine if, we got some Vois or something. Well, we did. That's exactly what we did. Yesterday we went out and we did a really impulse buy. We're like, fuck this. I want a Voi. I want a scooter of my own that I can ride around whenever I want. And we got these 9-bot electric scooters from Segway. So I figured we could do a little drag race. All right, ready?
Alright, so 3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1, go. Oh. Yes! Oh yeah, this is also the only helmet I own. I have a different one that I used to skate with, but it doesn't fit me anymore. So this is the only other helmet I have at the moment, and I can't be bothered buying another one. So it's really unnecessary for riding scooters, but I don't know. It looks pretty cool. I think it looks cool. Oh, how do I open this? So the plan for tonight was to go around to a couple of different photography locations. I wanted to try and get some long exposure shots of the city, but I also wanted to recreate a photo that we took in Sweden when we used to ride the Vois. We wanted to get a photo with it, like a memory with us riding it, because we rode them everywhere in Sweden. I kind of want to recreate that photo now here at this location. It's called the Webb Bridge in Melbourne, and I think it's a really cool spot. For this shot, I'm going to have to use a wide lens. I've got the 16-35 on, and that's probably what I'm going to use to take this photo. I actually think we got it. First try Friday. Is it Friday? First day yeah, then I fuck it up.
It's Friday.
First try Friday.
It's not Friday, but it is now.
What is it?
It's
Saturday.
It's Saturday. First
Saturday.
Saturday. That actually, yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah,
first shot.
Okay, yeah, let's go take some other photos now. Alright, quick ride, and we're here at this spot. I cannot believe how quiet it is. Every single one of these restaurants here is shut down because obviously they can't be open because of coronavirus. And these are some of the most expensive restaurants in Melbourne. All the 5-star, top quality, best chef restaurants in Melbourne are all closed. So this whole promenade here is pretty much empty except for anyone that wants to walk around because of they live in the buildings near here or something. But yeah, it's definitely very weird being into the city for the first time in a couple of months. But anyway, this is the spot here. It's a really nice shot of the city, and it's got this bridge here as well with like a leading line in it. Yeah, chuck the camera on a tripod and we'll figure out the settings from there. Okay, for this shot, I've chosen a 10-second shutter speed. The higher up your aperture is, especially at nighttime, the longer your exposure is going to need to be. And the reason why I have such a high aperture is because I want everything to be in focus. So I want the foreground and the background to be in focus. And I want to be able to pick up all the detail between every single one of the buildings here as well. Shooting on an aperture of f10 pretty much allows me to do that. And then keeping my ISO as low as possible, anywhere between 100 to 400 ISO. I wouldn't really go any higher than that, but it depends on what aperture you want to shoot on, the lighting conditions of wherever you're shooting, and also your shutter speed. So just keep that in mind. I always try and shoot on a high aperture around f10. Alright, we're going to finish up at this spot for tonight. It's a pretty renowned sort of photo for Melbourne. It's the main Flinders Street station. And like I said earlier, it's really quiet. But what I'm actually looking for is a tram to come past through the intersection here. Oh fuck, here's one right now. What great timing. I don't want my shutter speed to be too long. Holy shit, this never happens. I literally just set up my camera and there's just trams everywhere for my shot. Literally every single fucking direction right now there's a tram. I'm like freaking out. It's just a tram, but sometimes it's just like such a long wait with photography. I think I've got something there. Definitely something to work with. Sorry, I was kind of rushing. I wasn't really explaining my settings, but how about we just go home and I'll explain everything once we're in Lightroom. Hey, you know what? Just now, because I've got home, I felt like I haven't even really done a photo shoot or anything because I was on those scooters and it was so easy to go from one spot to another. We literally went across the entire city in like 5-6 minutes. So yeah, I just couldn't believe how fast these things were to get around. Comparing this photo to the one that we took in Sweden, I like this shot a lot better because I could think about where I actually wanted to shoot this photo rather than in Sweden, we were just riding around trying to find anywhere to shoot that photo because that was the last night we were there before we flew back in the morning. Definitely gonna post this one on Instagram. Next, we went to this spot here. Oh my God, what is going on there? Okay, it was just loading. I was like, Sony, what are you doing? I was about to freak out. That's the before, that's after. I applied the preset Cold Night, but the problem with this water is that it's really brown because it's reflecting all the mud on the ground. I don't think the water is... No, it's fucked. The water's fucked. No, who am I kidding? But anyway, once I could bring some exposure out to see what I was working with, obviously the water looks really disgusting. I just went over it with a graduated filter and then brought the exposure down. And then a bit further up, I went over it with a brush tool, took some of the saturation out of it, and then I'll show you when I press K and go into the actual brush tool, you can use this box here. So you pick any color you want. Let's say we want like a really bright blue, and then you take some saturation out of your brush, and then you can sort of paint that color anywhere that you want. Takes a little bit of fine tuning, but with a little bit of practice, you'll sort of get the hang of it. And it can really help when you're trying to paint something in your photo, for example, much nicer, cleaner, clearer looking water. So before, after, and that's using Cold Night, used for underexposed images from my preset pack. This is from my version 2 pack. I do have a preset similar to that one as well in my V1 pack as well. So if you want to get those, I'll link them down in my description there, or you can head over to streamline.store to grab yourself a set. Yeah, and the last place I went to was this place, which was Flinders Street Station. And I took a multitude of photos here because I thought I was gonna merge them together or do something like that later. I like this exposure, I think it's really cool. However, I just think the tram going across lengthways across the image or horizontally across the image there just looks the most aesthetic. And I don't know about you, but I kind of like the bike guy here, that he's a bit blurry and out of focus. So I don't really talk too much about these settings here, but because I was kind of rushing and I was freaking out because there's trams coming from every single direction. So pretty much I shot this just under 1 second here. F5, ISO 100. Like I was saying earlier, you want to have quite a high number for your aperture. This isn't too high, but it does allow for me to zoom in and get a lot of detail. And definitely having the Mark IV Sony with its crazy 62 megapixel sensor, it does allow for very good quality images. Like that is actually fucking ridiculous how good that quality is. Surprisingly, this whole time I've lived in Melbourne and the entire time I've been a photographer, I've never taken this shot from this angle. I try and steer away from the really touristy parts of Melbourne, but it is actually a really nice shot. It's a little bit messy here with the tree and the construction going on, but whatever. I'm not gonna be a perfectionist with this image because I do like this image a lot more anyway. Actually, you know what? My favorite image from the shoot is probably this one. So everything else just didn't really matter. It was actually just an excuse to take the scooters out for a ride. Anyway, I've actually got a few mods planned that I want to do on the scooter. Oh, we'll see if we can mod it. I'm currently trying to wrap the front bar in as many stickers as I possibly can. I don't know why I'm doing that. I guess it's like a little creative touch on my end. But yeah, we'll see if we can unlock any speeds on them or do any special kind of mods with them in the future. But definitely a great investment. And they're also really great for the environment too. And you just plug it in at the end of the day and then they charge up really quickly, which is awesome. If you did like this video, leave a like down below or help me out by hitting subscribe. I hope I taught you something new in today's video. I learned a lot about drag racing electric scooters. But with that all said and done, have a shit one, and I will see you in the next one. Ta-da! I don't know what I'm doing.